Just as a young boy falls asleep, the slightly older girl grasps heavily, emanating a heavy sexual aura, and slowly carves her fangs into his flesh. However, we will get back to this later. The show starts off with a light pink-haired girl with two pigtails jumping off a building on a starry night, with the moon out in full bloom. A young boy, Yamori Ku, sneaks out of his room in the middle of the night to roam outside for the first time. He is overjoyed that he can finally venture into the night without being bothered by anything. Ku heads off to the nearby park to feel some peace and decides to play by himself. He reveals that he has insomnia, which makes him unable to focus on things at school as well as home. In a flashback, it is revealed that it all started when his classmate proposed to him with a love letter, and as he never quite understood those feelings, he rejected her. The other was too heartbroken by this, and her friends criticized Ku for turning her down. I mean, that wasn't even his fault, but whatever. Since he started feeling guilty about it, he lost his sleep and tried asking for help online, but all he got was advice regarding interacting with a family member or someone he trusted. If you've had any privilege to have someone like this, he wouldn't be in this mess today. Suddenly, his phone vibrates and his soul leaves his body for a second, thinking that his family has found out about the sneaking move. However, he is happy that it was just some ad promo and not anyone trying to check up on him. As most of the people are recommending beer, he decides to finally give it a try. Fortunately, the vending machine isn't far away, and even though he is a minor, his desire to sleep overcomes his guilt. Suddenly, the young girl from before appears to warn him that he is young. Surprisingly, she knows about his insomnia and assures him that she won't rat him out to the core and tells him that she can assist him in falling asleep. The two start walking together and they stumble upon drunkards. Her pearly blue eyes pierce his heart right into two, and he immediately trusts her. Mizuna is a pretty social girl, and she tells him to follow her to her place if he wants to finally have a restful slumber, since there is no one who is awaiting him at home. He decides to go with her, and he asks about her activities. After she tells him that the night is for enjoyment and he should let himself loose in joy, Ku gets back to socialize with the drunk guys, but his experience isn't too good as one of them immediately vomits. Just as she takes him to her apartment, he can sense an uneasiness but still trusts her. After spending a few minutes, he wants to go back, but the other stops him and tells him that the two are sleeping together. He takes this in a sexual way, but Mizuna assures him that she isn't doing anything rash to him, and it's all for his good. Just as he lays down and pretends to sleep, the other slowly approaches him and bites his neck, revealing her thirst for human blood. She's amazed that his blood is so sweet, and the other immediately gets back up. She is embarrassed that she is found out and tries making various excuses, but the blood is visible on her face. Ku wants to know whether he is a vampire now, and the other convinces him that he is just as human as he was yesterday. He asks why didn't she turn him into one and how vampires are made, and Azuna explains that she has no interest in making more vampires, and for his second question, she responds that vampires are only created when a person falls in love with a vampire and let them suck their blood. Though she is really flustered by this, causing them to go out to enjoy the night more. After hearing everything about vampires, Ku now wants to become one and tells her to make him one. Mizuna is embarrassed that he would bring something like this up and tells him that she is going to continue sucking his blood. It's up to him to decide whether he is falling in love with her, or just being content with his blood getting sucked. As Ku isn't planning on going to the dorm soon, Mizuna takes him to the rooftop so she can infuse moonlight into his blood to make it tastier. Suddenly, she pushes him off the roof to let him experience the night to the fullest. Ku feels like he is about to die, but the other jumps after him to give him a ride as she traverses through the city. The following night, Ku sneaks out of his house, once again to meet Mizuna, and she explains that for vampires, having sex and drinking blood from someone is the same thing as they reproduce this way. Ku doesn't want her to use these words, but the other just teases him more. Ku reveals that even if she hasn't fallen for him yet, he will continue striving to make her love him, and then he will be able to become just like her, wandering the night in full grace. The next night, Ku wanders around the city but doesn't find Azuna, so he decides to head back to his dorm to look for her there. Suddenly, just as he is about to pass by a street, the other descends upon a pole. He asks where she was wandering without letting him know, and the other reveals that she was looking for some randoms to suck some blood from. Ku recalls her words and is jealous that she is copulating with other people and tells her that he is enough for her, but he also realizes that for the time being, he's just a tool for her until he makes her fall for him. Since he doesn't want to go looking for her every night, he asks for her contact, but she doesn't have a cell phone as they are unnecessary for her. Suddenly, she remembers buying one ages ago, and the two head to her place to look for it. Ku is shocked that she is carrying such an old phone and tries persuading her to buy a new phone. However, the other simply has no use besides contacting him, and he exchanges the phone number with her, though he tells her to carry the massive heap around in case of an emergency. She doesn't want to roam anymore as she is pretty tired and decides to get some rest. She invites him to sleep with her and is waiting for his permission to let her suck his blood. Instead, Ku turns her down as he is still upset that she drank someone else's blood. Mizuna notices his frustration and apologizes before revealing that she was just too embarrassed to admit that she got lost looking for him and made an excuse that she was out sucking some rando's blood. After Ku is convinced, he invites her to carve her fangs into his smooth flesh. The next night, he's out once again and doesn't have a lead to find her. Fortunately, she arrives quickly and he is excited to show her his new wristwatch transceiver. He is amazed that Nezuma is interested in it and he recalls playing with them in his childhood. Once he bought 2 watches and tried to experiment to find a new friend. But even after someone took the transceiver away, he never got a reply from the other person. He hands another transceiver to Nezuma and the two decide to split up to communicate with each other. Even though they are away from each other, Ku is confident this time and contacts her through the transceiver. The two play with each other, and without even closing the device, Ku talks to himself about the two falling in love with each other, causing her embarrassment. Afterward, Nezuma gives him a ride in her arms and the two head to his school. Ku is amazed to find that even the school, a place he hates so much, feels peaceful when entered in the dark. After she has a sip of his blood, Ku notices that Nezuna loves to make lewd jokes, but gets embarrassed when the conversation is about love. He immediately calls her by her first name, further flustering her, and tells her that the two can start by being friends first and then progress their relationship. Just as he is returning, his other wristwatch receives a signal from the one that was lost, and he turns around to find his classmate. While they were glaring down the city from the rooftop, Nezuna asks Ku whether he had any friends. The other doesn't even know when someone starts being friends with another and tells her that he has had no luck in finding out so far. Presently, Asayakira confronts him as he is going back to his house and inquires what he is doing so early in the morning. He is surprised to find his watch on her wrists and asks about it. The other reveals that she had always considered approaching him, but she was worried he would turn her down. Fortunately, Ku was kind enough to leave the watch in her mailbox, extending his hands for friendship. Ku realizes that it is just a misunderstanding and he never meant to give it to her, but is still happy that at least she considers him a friend. In a flashback, it is revealed that Ku never really liked playing with other kids and would enjoy his time staring at random ants, which made Akira approach him. She is an early bird who takes a walk before going to school. Afterward, Ku quickly informs Nezuna of this, but she doesn't seem to be impressed at all. The following night, he is at Nezuna's place again where he decides to head back early. The other is surprised that he isn't enjoying time with her and comments that he must have found another woman if he is so eager to leave. Much to her astonishment, she is right and the other starts explaining that they are just friends. He heads off to meet Akira, who is out on a walk like usual. The two head off to the nearby park to enjoy the beautiful silence of the night. Ku believes that she was quite the talker back in the day and wonders why she isn't talking much now. He asks whether she is enjoying his company, and the other assures him that she is more than happy to spend time with him in this solemn park. Suddenly, Ku spots Nezuna peeking from behind the tree, and eventually, she shows up. Just as she starts her lewd jokes, Akira tells you to stop hanging out with bad people, and the other has to explain that she is intentionally doing this. Seeing how close they are, Akira feels that they are in love with each other, but Nezuna tells her that their relationship is purely physical, creating many more misunderstandings. To demonstrate it, she drinks his blood right before her, creeping her out when spots the marks on his neck. The three head over to a cafe to have breakfast while Nezuna orders beer. Akira wants Ku to continue coming to school as she gets bored there and doesn't have anyone that she can talk to. Ku hesitates answering as he still doesn't know whether school is a good idea. Nezuma confronts Akira about this and asks why she suddenly showed up and now asking him to get back to school. She loses her temper and quickly leaves without paying the bill. Ku pays in her stead and immediately goes after her. He notices that the other is angry, but just as he asks her, she goes away. Ku spends the whole morning looking for her but doesn't have any luck and even trips to injure his mouth. He decides to use the transceiver and is amazed that she is nearby. He apologizes for making her angry, and the other quickly shows up to make amends. The reason she was bothered was that he couldn't answer Akira right away about showing up at school, and he told her that he simply didn't know how to tell this human friend that he wanted to become a vampire. She instantly pulls him and kisses him, sucking the blood out of his mouth. Just as she goes away, Akira believes this isn't how friends are supposed to interact. Akira is lonely at her school and awaits Ku, but he doesn't attend class like usual. Once her classes are finished, she immediately heads back as there is no one to interact with. Even at her home, she can feel the inescapable loneliness creeping in her footsteps. Ku once again sneaks out of his house and realizes that he has gotten good at it. On his way, he can't help but think about the kiss, and just as he reaches the park, he is surprised to find Nezuna awaiting him. However, he doesn't want to confront her as it is too embarrassing for him and decides to roam around for a bit. Ku spots a couple kissing each other and concludes that he is in love with Nezuna. He can't wait to get bitten by her, and much to his delight, she arrives just in time. He instantly tells her that he has fallen in love with her and wants her to satisfy her thirst. Much to his astonishment, he doesn't become a vampire upon the contact, and the other reveals that he was only feeling aroused from the kiss. Ku is devastated that all he was feeling was lust, and the thought of it never came to his mind. Another night, Akira finds it hard to sleep, so she decides to head out. Ku encounters her, and as they have nothing else to do, he takes her to Nezuna's place where they play games. Nezuma is really good at games, and Ku suffers countless defeats at her hands, prompting her to tell him that he will never get to kiss her. Akira doesn't understand this, and upon inquiry, she finds out that the two have kissed once. The two convince her to play a romance visual novel, and Ku is astonished at how unrealistic the game is. Later, Nezuna wants Akira to stay over at her apartment, and as it is pouring outside, she has no choice but to spend the night there. The three have to sleep together, and after Nezuna sucks Ku's blood, she inquires about their weird habit. Ku finally reveals that he is hoping to become a vampire by falling in love with Nezuna, and the other is embarrassed. Afterward, just as they get ready to sleep, Akira advises him to relax his body so he can sleep better. She fully supports his decision since they will continue to remain friends, though she assures him that she will try and get him back to school. Even though Akira is tired, she doesn't want to sleep and is waiting for the rain to stop. However, her eyes close surprisingly quickly, and she wakes up late for school. As she is about to head over, Nezuma tells her that the reason she slept better was because she was satisfied with her day. Nezuna wakes up early in the afternoon and spends the rest of the day playing games. However, despite investing thousands of hours, she doesn't feel a flow and rage quits. Afterward, she goes out to collect the package, but as she wasn't around, someone else has taken it away. She needs to take care of her apartment, so she cleans it up and goes outside to enjoy the night. She is disappointed that people look so gloomy in the city and wishes that more people could savor the night like a certain someone. She comes across a kitty, and of course, there's no ignoring it for a friend. However, Nezuna realizes that her hands stink and heads to the bathhouse to take a bath and get refreshed before meeting Ku. Outside, he is amazed that she is looking so alluring and can't figure out what he is feeling. Since he is sweaty, she takes him to the bathhouse as well, and after the two are on their way back, he wants to assess his emotions, so he asks her to suck his blood. This helps him in figuring out his emotions and also slowly get closer to her. As he is too tired and needs rest, Ku decides to go to a nearby hotel. However, he is gravely embarrassed when he finds out that it is actually a love hotel, and Nezuma teases him. Ku only sees her as a friend for now and believes having dirty thoughts toward her is indecent. The other only cares about his blood right now, and as different emotions make his blood tastier, she encourages him to have more diverse emotions around her and even assures him to have a dirty thought once in a while. Since they don't have anything else to do, Nezuna decides to put on some indecent videos but is taken aback when the great adversary, capitalism, wants her to pay extra for this privilege. Ku wants to ask whether she used to drink the blood of different people before meeting him, but is too afraid to confront her about this as he worries that she will get upset. The other reads his emotions and tells him that she used to drink the blood of random people, even women, and used to take them to her apartment for a massage session. She demonstrates this by giving him a rest, and he is amazed at how good she is. After learning everything from her, a customer knocks on their door, and Nezuna doesn't feel like she can go on for another session, so she instructs Ku to take charge. To make it more tempting for him, she offers him some money and a kiss. Shirakawa, the office lady, is returning from her work when she feels immensely tired. She recalls Nezuna's massage course and decides to head over to her apartment. She is surprised that a young boy is on duty, and as he seems inexperienced, she asks about Nezuna. He assures her that he is more than handy and lets her body feel at rest. Shirakawa doesn't understand why a boy of his age would work at this late hour, and the other responds that he needs some money, definitely not looking forward to the kiss. He explains that having to go to school is a chore and he just wants to enjoy the night. Shirakawa also felt the same when she was his age, but then adult life came and she had to work to make a living. She starts crying when she tells him about her toxic office environment and suddenly receives a call from her boss who wants her to come to the office at this hour. Ku tells Nezuna to stop her and she throws her out of the window, though they save her from the fall. Ku demonstrates how fun the night is and tells her that she should quit if she isn't having fun. He reveals his dream of becoming a vampire and promises that he will turn her into a vampire if he manages to become one. She admires his confidence but still gets back to work as adult life simply isn't about comfort, at least not for her. The following night, Nezuna is bored from just wandering around and wants to do something fun. Ku suggests various places and the two eventually head out to a midnight pool party. Even though he speculates that she will be wearing an incredibly revealing outfit, he is surprised that she is showing less skin than usual. After she goes to pick up a drink, people are immediately attracted to her and make various comments, discomforting Ku. As she returns, some guys hit on her and she intentionally gives them a chance to piss out Ku. He quickly takes her away and is upset that she is ready to hang out with them. She apologizes for her teasing and quickly takes him to the air to drop him at his school's pool where she sucks his blood. Ku is out early tonight and is hoping to not stumble into anyone familiar. However, Shirakawa encounters him and buys him a drink to thank him for his help. While he is enjoying the drink, he spots a blonde girl turning down a guy and she suddenly waves at him. Ku doesn't think it is weird at all, and she instantly approaches him, revealing that she enjoys hanging out with different men and turning them down at the end of the day. As she takes his drink, he follows her, and the other reveals that she is a vampire. Just as she is about to bite him, Mizuma comes to his rescue, enraged that the other preyed on her human. The blonde girl easily regenerates her wounds, and another vampire arrives to take Ku away. The two were collaborating to capture him away from Mizuna, and the blonde one kept her distracted from following them. The other vampire takes him to a building where 3 other vampires are also waiting. They introduce themselves as Aiko Harada, Midori Koko, Hatsuka Suzushiro, and Kampira Honda, and tell Ku to choose one who will turn him into a vampire. They are astonished when he chooses Mizuna over them. Nico assures him that she will make him fall in love with her soon enough and turn him into a vampire. Afterward, Midori tries playing tricks to get closer to him, but he instantly rejects her. Meanwhile, Kikayo Seri tells Mizuna that it is extremely dangerous to keep a human without having the intention of making him a vampire. However, she is amazed when Mizuna reveals that she intends to turn him into one. Back at the building, the vampires try their best but are unable to make him fall for them. Just when he reveals that he wants to fall in love with Mizuna and then turn into a vampire, Mizuna arrives atop the building, embarrassed. The others realize that she still isn't good at romance talk. They don't trust her and feel that she is lying to Ku about turning him into a vampire, but Ku tells them that she has given him permission to fall in love with her. Ku realizes that even vampires don't like her dirty jokes, and they tell Mizuna to turn him down soon enough as it might get dangerous for him. Hearing this, Ku announces that no matter how many years it takes, he will become a vampire one day, taking them aback. They'd inform you that he has only 1 year to become a vampire, and in case he fails to fall in love with Mizuna in that period, he will never be able to turn into a vampire. Ku feels that it is way less of a time to sort out his feelings, but now he doesn't have an alternate choice. As Mizuna had promised to give him a kiss for massaging Shirakawa, she goes for it right before them. He informs Akira about this, and she points out that in case he fails to become a vampire, they might kill him since vampires are really protective of their identity. At her school, Akira encounters Maharu, one of their classmates, and he reveals that he has fallen in love with an older girl. The two reminisce about their past, and he wishes Ku could get back to school so they can hang out once more. Later, Ku encounters Seri, who advises him on how to approach Mizuna and gives him date ideas. Mizuna doesn't want to go, but seeing his persistence, she decides to accept his date but is eventually bored. After taking a look at his note, she immediately realizes that Seri advised and heads back to her apartment. Ku is disappointed that his first date ended in failure, but the other soon gets back and takes him outside so they can enjoy the date in their own way. Ku runs into Maharu, and the two recall their friendship. Ku greatly admires him due to his cheerful aura and isn't hesitant to spend time with him. Akira joins them soon, and after a bit of catching up, Maharu departs to go out with a friend. After Akira gets back home, Ku reunites with Mizuna, who holds his hand, imitating the student couple that just went past by her. Ku encounters Seri, and just as she is excitingly approaching him, Mizuna abruptly stops her. Mizuna then declares that Seri herself has opposed human-vampire friendships. Ku later runs into Seri again, and the two go to a karaoke club, where Seri describes her feelings about how cruel people can be, which Ku is familiar with. Just then, one of her fans knocks on the door. Ku is opposed to her murdering him, but she explains that if his death has no effect on him, her actions are not immoral. She strikes, but Ku blocks her path and flees with him. Ku deduces that Akito Akiyama likes Seri, and he recalls how they encountered each other after she discovered him intoxicated on the street. Seri appears and plans to murder Akiyama and Ku for meddling, but Mizuna intervenes from above. Akiyama admits that they were friends until he fell in love with her, which clashed with her aversion to romance. Seri confirms this and vows never to meet Akiyama again. However, she bursts into tears, declaring that she enjoyed being his buddy and wishes to continue. Akiyama then volunteers to be her offspring, which Seri accepts, thereby converting him into a vampire. They all go to karaoke to celebrate, with Mizuna stating that she and Ku may take their time. Midori has to find someone who would not upstage her at the vampire-themed maid cafe where she works, and she ends up persuading Mizuna to perform the job while she goes for another walk with Ku. Ku chooses to remain a regular at the cafe and gets served by another waitress called Arisa, who informs him about her own fondness for maid cafes. Midori is about to submit images for the cafe's social media when she sees many creepshots of Arisa in the same folder and begs Ku to assist her in finding the offender. Ku and Azuna study the scene, attempting to figure out how the peeping Tom achieved the perspectives shown in the images. Ku gets a revelation and plans an investigation with Midori later that night, capturing the true perpetrator in the act, who is revealed to be Arisa herself. After losing the top maid position to Midori, Arisa confesses to shooting racy images of herself in a selfish quest for attention. Arisa then prepares to leave the cafe, but Midori forgives her, noting that all of the cafe maids work there because they want to be recognized. Nezuna relies on the extra cash she earns from working at the cafe to refurbish her own decor, and she begs Ku to get her some new customers for her massage business. Ku notices a weary lady smoking on the bridge and attempts to strike up a conversation with her. She then takes him to a cafe where he attempts to pitch her on Nezuna's business, but she lightly threatens to report him to the police for breaching Japanese child labor rules. The lady identifies herself as Anko Iwisu, a professional investigator, and attempts to get information about Akihito from him, giving Ku a picture of the guy who was connected with Sari the day before. Anko lets Ku off the hook when he lies about having no idea about him. Anko pays for his coffee and departs, handing up the change to Ku, who spends it on beer for Nezuna. He is, however, oblivious that Anko is following him from afar. Later that night, Ku joins Maharu and Akira to examine the 7 mysteries of their school. Most of them are either fictitious or have prosaic explanations. However, when investigating a haunted classroom, they come across an elderly guy who jumps on Akira and attempts to drain her blood. He fights him off long enough for the 3 to flee, but the guy pursues them into the corridor. Anko appears on the other end and lets him die as a human, allowing him to crumble to ash as the morning light beams through the hallway windows. Anko criticizes Ku for being ignorant about vampires after he inquires why she couldn't let him die in peace. Ko, frightened by the previous night's events, rethinks turning a vampire. Noticing Ko's uneasiness, Nezuna tells him that the famished vampire at school was not an ordinary instance. Ko tells Maharu about the night prior and the other questions why he wants to become a vampire and is told to think about it. When Nezuna pays a visit to Ko's flat, she informs him that she has been a blood vampire for a long time and that it is not as thrilling as it seems. Unsure of what to do, Ko seeks advice from Anko. Anko claims she opposes Ko being a vampire because she feels vampires are a menace to mankind, and she gives him an ultimatum. Agree to relinquish his desire to become a vampire, and she would protect him from vampires and teach him how to dispose of them. Ko is adamantly opposed to Anko's demands, claiming that not all vampires are evil. Anko then contacts the cops and reports Ko for violating the curfew. Ko escapes the scene before the cops come and hide in a playground where Hatsuka finds him. Hatsuka brings Ku to his house and lets him sit on a chair while he showers. When Hatsuka requests a towel, Ku realizes that Hatsuka is a man. Meanwhile, Nezuna believes Ku no longer wants to become a vampire and begs Nico and the other vampires to not harm him. Nico is enraged because Nezuna wants to let him breach their agreement, and she breaks the table before threatening to murder Ko herself. Back at Hatsuka's apartment, Ko starts to second-guess himself as he recalls his experience with Anko and the elderly male vampire she murdered. After viewing a photo of the destroyed table, Hatsuka offers to transform Ko into a vampire himself, stating it would be the easiest way to secure both Nezuna and Ko's protection. Though Ku has little interest in Hatsuka, he rejects it, stating that he only wants to be transformed by Nezuna, despite the fact that there may be repercussions for them both. Ku goes to the rooftop where he first met the other vampires, with Nico attempting to discourage him from searching for Nezuna, indicating that she has fled and would not speak to him. After furiously instructing Nico to shut up, Ko flees and begins to hunt for Nezuna by himself. Ku eventually finds her at the vending machine where they have first met. After he expresses his feelings to her, Nezuna vows to become someone worth falling in love with and instantly goes for a kiss. Will Ku accomplish his goal of becoming a vampire and helping others? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content.